98.3 The Snake, or the classic rock station. I'm Kendra Wolf, and coming March 21st to the CSI Fine Arts Auditorium in Twin, and he's bringing friends, and he's on the phone with me, David Dyer. How's it going, man?
I'm doing great, Kendra. I'm looking forward to this. This is my first time ever performing in Idaho.
I was going to ask you that, so
yeah,
never been.
I've never been. I've been to Montana, the Dakotas. Never been to Idaho.
Do you know where? Do you know where we're located, though? You know where the state is, though, right?
Here's what I know. I've done my logistics, and I know the night before we're in Billings, and I know from there to Twin Falls we got about a 6-hour drive.
Okay, you're good. You know your geography.
Yeah. I'm very big on the Google Maps.
Okay, well, just some people. When I first moved here, my family was like, "Where's Idaho again?" And I had to draw a map for them, so I just wanted to make sure you knew where we were.
Are there truly two falls, and do they look exactly alike?
Yes. It's called. So it's kind of confusing to me. It's the Twin Falls because we're in Twin Falls. But yeah, it's not as impressive as Shoshone Falls.
Okay, so but it's not Fraternal Falls, nothing like that. It's definitely same DNA in both places.
As far as I know, yeah. Good.
Then I'm taking a picture of only one of them. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to take a picture, send it to my wife, and say the other one looks just like this.
That's awesome. And I was going to ask, are you a married man?
I am married 22 years. December 5th, my wife and I celebrated 22 years of marriage.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's not always easy. You know, are you married yourself?
I am, only about 3 years, though. So.
Okay, so you still like each other.
Right? Yeah,
mostly. I still love my wife, but it's a different love than it used to be. You know, I used to, you know, where you are, 3 years, if someone said, "Hey, would you die for your wife?" I'd be, heck yes. And not only would I take a bullet, I'd buy the gun for the guy who was going to shoot the bullet. That's how much I love my wife.
Okay.
Now, if you ask that question, I'm like, die how? Because it's going to matter. That's going to factor into it. I mean, if it's going to be prolonged and really hurt, take her.
Wow.
But if it's going to be quick, all right, yeah, maybe I'll still do it. So it does change. I'm not trying to, you know, give you a bad view of marriage. I'm just telling you it changes. Mm-hmm. Now you guys are not to a point. There's no rocky point in the relationship yet, is there?
No, we're still good. We still like each other and sunshine, you know.
Yeah. See, we had a little stretch at about the 8-year point where we had to go see a marriage counselor for a bit, and for anybody out there who's done that, they know that it stinks. It's very expensive. And you're immediately put under a microscope. And the very first time we went to see marriage counselor, this woman sat us down, and she goes, "What we're going to do in the first session, we're going to do some self-diagnosis." She goes, "I want to see why you guys think you're here." You know, she says, "You know, you guys you're obviously aware that you have issues. You want to be here. You want to correct things. Tell me what some of the issues are." And she looks at me and she said, "Dave, what is it that really sets her up? What really makes her angry?" And I said, as far as I can tell, oxygen. Because I've held her underwater for a while, and she is a lot stronger than she looks. But we work through it, and everything's fine. And we have 2 kids. We got 2 teenage daughters, and that's always. I don't get the sense of entitlement with kids today. Kids today, they just want the results, and they really don't want to put the hard work into it. I tried to teach my daughter kind of a life lesson last summer. She had came across a situation where she had to work one night, but yet her friend Monica wanted to go out and do something. So it was this dilemma. She came to me. She went to my wife first, but my wife at this point has kind of become the life lesson hockey goalie, where my kids come to her and she just does, you know, go ask your father about that. She just deflects it over to me. So my daughter was asking me advice, and I said, "Look, this is a perfect situation for you to make this decision yourself, because it's a perfect time to learn about sacrifice. You got to understand that you don't always get to do what you want to do, and sometimes you have to give up fun things to maintain, you know, some goals and some integrity." Yeah. And I got that nod. Every now and then you get a nod from a kid where they look at you and you're like, "You know what? I broke through. I don't know how I did it, but I broke through." And they're on the same page and they get me. And she nodded at me and she looked at me and she said, "You're right. I'm going to call in sick." And I had completely wasted 5.5 to 7 minutes of her time and my time. She knew what she wanted. She just wanted an answer from me, and then she just wanted to be able to swipe that answer to the side. So there you go.
Oh, well, that's depressing.
It is. It is. But here's the beautiful thing. That same kid now is a sophomore in college, and life has kind of smacked her in the face with reality as far as the hard work of college and getting stuff done. And, when they say about parents, they say, well, you know what? Trust me, they do come back. That one is starting to come back. Okay. That one is starting to say, hey, I understand that, all the stuff I thought you were an idiot for, maybe you weren't such an idiot for. Now, the 16-year-old, we are full-blown idiots, too. That kid, we are nothing more than an ATM. That kid, everybody's in her way. Everybody is out to get her. And I got a feeling at this point, as soon as that one gets her college degree, we may never hear from her again.
Well,
and in about 10 years, we'll just go for like a check for $50,000 that'll say, hey, thanks for all the food and lodging. Here you go. I'll send another $50,000 in 10 more years.
That sounds kind of nice. I don't know.
You know what? With the way that one behaves at this point, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I have a 10-month-old, so I am just terrified, but thank you.
You know what? You're coming up on the best time. You're coming up with both of my daughters from a year to 2 years is the best time. Because
that's it?
A ton to develop. Yeah, at 2, farm them out. But from 1 to 2, you have just the best time. They're going to be walking. They're going to be moving around. They're going to be saying words. They're going to be putting sentences together, doing your taxes, all kinds of stuff from 1 to 2.
Awesome. I need help with my taxes, so that's good.
You're coming up on a great time.
Awesome. So I've been asking some of the other comedians this, but I'll ask you too. When you're done with your set, do you watch the other comedians, or you just go backstage and you're like, eh?
I do. I love to. I love to sit in the wings and watch everybody else. And that's not for one of those competitive things where you're like, I want to see how everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just, I just, I really enjoy all the comics. There's kind of a pool of comics, and we all do some of the shows and on the tour and stuff like that. But I really enjoy everybody who's on the tour. So I love to sit back on the wings and watch other comics. And I think it's Greg Hahn, Augie Smith, myself, and there's one other.
Kostaki Kanamopoulos.
And Kostaki, yes.
Yeah.
And I just worked with Kostaki last weekend. And all those guys are just phenomenal comics. And I think we all, even if we don't watch each other, and I always watch those other guys, we all watch Hahn because we're just amazed. We're just amazed that for even a half hour that he can go at that pace.
For sure.
And, the audience, if you look at the audience after his set, they look like they've been on a treadmill for 40 minutes. Because he just goes so bananas. And so we just all kind of sit back and watch him. And, it's like we're all kind of sitting there waiting for him to spontaneously combust, and it never happened.
You guys all have money on it, and it never happened. I just talked to him earlier. I feel that. I'm still kind of amped. I'm ready to go for a run right now.
Yeah, he's like the walking monster drink. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So before you go on stage and you do your set, is there anything that you do beforehand?
You know what? I know there's a lot of other comics who do the same. I always have, every comic has like a little wad of notes that they keep, like whether it's a running kind of outline of their set or anything. And I always glance over that, and I'll tell you what, I glanced over that thing a million times, and I know exactly what I'm going to do, what I can do, what directions I can shift in and everything like that. But I think it's just one of those kind of ritualistic things where you're like, I have to look at the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, once I look at the sheet for 5 seconds, it's locked in, and I'm ready to go. But other than that, it's kind of weird. 10 minutes before you go out, you're more nervous than you are 2 minutes before you go out. 10 minutes before you go out, you're kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe I want to do this bit, maybe I don't want to do that. 2 minutes before you go on stage, you're just kind of like, you know what, here we're going.
It's happening.
We're moving forward, and it's happening, so what happens, happens. Boom, let's do it.
Awesome. I love it. So, guys, Saturday, March 21st, 8 o'clock over at the CSI Fun Arts Auditorium in Twin. He's bringing friends, Greg Hahn, David Dyer, Kostaki Kanamopoulos. I've been practicing that name. Also, Augie Smith. If you don't have tickets yet, get them, 983thesnake.com. And it sounds like you use a lot of comedy from your own life and just everyday things. Do you steal stuff from your own life?
Yep, I'm married with 2 daughters. I grew up in a family of all boys. I was the youngest of 4 boys, so what I'm dealing with is dramatically different than what I grew up with. So, it certainly has drawn on an awful lot of material. And, I talk about my dad a lot. My dad passed away 6 years ago, and my dad was a humongous comedic influence to me because he was a really funny guy. But not only was he funny, but he had us watching Monty Python movies and all sorts of stuff like that. So,
Good man.
I do a lot of stuff about he was a great guy. Great guy. So.
Awesome. I can't wait. I've been stalking you and in a professional sort of way, but God, you're funny. And a lot of the stuff you do is just like everyday, it's everyday stuff, and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
So
I don't live in New York or LA, so all I have to draw on is my normal life in Grand Rapids.
I think you're going to be a huge hit here in Twin Falls. I can't wait. I'm very excited, guys. Check him out. David Dyer, he's bringing friends Saturday, March 21st. And you want to throw anything else out?
Yeah, if people want to follow me on Twitter, they can go to @DyerComedy on Twitter. If they want to go to my website, David Dyer Comedy, I have a web series I do with a friend of mine here called Pillars, and all the episodes are there.
Awesome. Got to check that out. Awesome, guys. If you don't have tickets yet, get them. Saturday, March 21st, 8 p.m. Make it a date night. Leave the babies at home over at the CSI Fine Arts Auditorium in Twin. The Keystone Light Friends of the Bob and Tom Show Comedy Tour. Be there, 983thesnake.com.